Chapter 31. Project Proposal. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Hong Yuan was so angry that his whole body was trembling. He stared at Du Kaifeng's departing figure with his scarlet eyes. He felt even more helpless in his heart. How could Du Kaifeng let him turn the tables? Now that he was in debt and owed millions, turning the tables was easier said than done. Hong Yuan squatted on the ground and buried his face deep into his palms. His hands were wet with tears. "Hello, Mr. Hong." A piece of tissue was reflected in his eyes. Hong Yuan was stunned. He raised his head and saw an astonishingly beautiful girl standing in front of him. Hong Yuan took it and casually wiped away his tears. He stood up. "Is there something you need me for? I can help you with your company. Let's talk." It was a very cold statement, but the girl had an inexplicable ability to convince others. Hong Yuan nodded. "Okay." Hong Yuan knew that he couldn't pin his hopes on a young girl, but he had no other choice. He could only desperately grab hold of that life-saving straw. In the coffee shop's cubicle, Qin Sheng pushed the document in her hand in front of Hong Yuan. "My name is Qin Sheng. This is the project proposal I prepared. Take a look. This is written by you?" Hong Yuan asked. Qin Sheng picked up the coffee, took a sip, and nodded. Hong Yuan's eyes dimmed. He didn't take this proposal seriously at first. A 17 or 18-year-old girl studying in the third year of high school, it was really unbelievable that she could write it. When he saw the words, all. Intelligent games, Hong Yuan couldn't help but laugh in his heart. It seemed that she was delusional. There were many intelligent games on the market now, but there weren't any that could truly achieve intelligence, let alone all. Intelligent games. Out of politeness, Hong Yuan continued to read seriously. After flipping through one page, his gaze paused. He retracted his disdainful attitude and flipped through it seriously. Towards the end, his hands couldn't stop trembling. He was excited. After flipping through the last page, Hong Yuan was so shocked that he couldn't speak. He looked at Qin Sheng with eyes full of shock. Qin Sheng smiled. "I have the core technology to develop all. Intelligent games. I wonder if Mr. Hong is willing to join my company." Hong Yuan opened his mouth. "This proposal was made by you alone. Did you develop the technology yourself?" Qin Sheng nodded. Hong Yuan. "May I ask, Miss Qin, how old are you?" "I'm almost 18. Hong Yuan. "Are all the young people nowadays so amazing?" One had to know that this detailed proposal and the core technology indicated in it were completely unachievable with current technology. There were quite a number of all. Intelligent games on the market now, but unfortunately, they were only covered in a layer of skin. The core was after all computer. Operated. Hong Yuan closed the proposal and asked, "Miss Qin, aren't you afraid that I'll leak this technology?" Qin Sheng smiled faintly. "If Mr. Hong was such a person, I wouldn't have come to you. Qin Sheng would definitely not find someone with a low character to become an important member of her company. That way, the more talented they were, the greater the damage to the company." Hong Yuan admired Qin Sheng even more. Qin Sheng's IQ and EQ were far above ordinary people. Since she found him, she must have investigated him. He was thinking too much. "I wonder what Miss Qin wants me to do. I'm preparing to open a gaming company. I need you to help me manage the company and be the manager of the company." Qin Sheng told him her plan. In her previous life, the Qin family had developed into various fields, but there was no such thing as a gaming company. Gaming was a field that earned a lot of money. She wanted to develop quickly and possess the smart technology that she had researched in her previous life. Making a best-selling game was a very good choice. Hong Yuan was about to agree when he thought of something. His eyes quickly dimmed again. Chapter 32. Cooperation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Miss Chin, Du Kaifeng won't let me off. If he finds out that I work in your company, he'll make things difficult for you. Hong Yuan clenched his fists and said with difficulty, you'd better find someone else. This was a chance to turn the tables. Hong Yuan was worried that Qin Sheng would be affected, so he pushed it away. He couldn't implicate others. Qin Sheng didn't mind. Don't tell me Du Kaifeng has the ability to cover the sky with one hand. Don't worry, I have a way to deal with it. Hong Yuan's eyes were red. This was the first time since he was in a bad situation that they didn't look down on him. He excitedly promised, Miss Chin, I will definitely manage the company well and make it bigger and stronger. Okay. Qin Sheng's eyes were filled with a smile. I'm not 18 yet. I'll register the company under your name temporarily. You have quite a lot of connections. I'll leave the registration of the company and the recruitment of ordinary employees to you. I'll recruit a few technicians later. I'll transfer the funds to your card in a week's time. She pushed a contract in front of Hong Yuan. Hong Yuan glanced at it briefly and signed his name. Qin Sheng stood up and extended her hand to Hong Yuan. CEO Hong, it's a pleasure to work with you. Boss, it's a pleasure to work with you. Qin Sheng left, and Hong Yuan sat on the chair. He still couldn't believe what had just happened. Once in hell, once in heaven. Fortunately, he had met someone important. Otherwise, he really didn't know what he should do. Hong Yuan's hand was tightly clutching the document in his hand. He suppressed the surging tears and smiled. Even if she was a young girl who was not even 18, and the chances of failure were very high, no matter what the outcome was, he had to take the gamble this time. For the next period of time, Qin Sheng was helping people to strengthen and set up protective systems. Because the customers had a good opinion of her, they recommended her to other people. In just 3 days, there were more than 10 people asking for advice. A total of 7 orders were accepted. Qin Sheng was very busy every day. Other than attending classes, she was playing on the computer. Qin Hai already had a sense of depression toward Qin Sheng. Seeing how Qin Sheng was not doing her job every day, he was even more furious. However, every time he lectured Qin Sheng always looked indifferent. After a long time, Qin Hai became bored and simply ignored her. For her own good, Qin Sheng did not appreciate his kindness. Any human would be impatient. Qin Hai, Lin Shuya, and Qin Churu were laughing at home every day. However, Qin Sheng was like an invisible person, even to the servants. On the surface, they were respectful to Qin Sheng, but secretly, they were mocking her. As expected, she came from the countryside and could not be the young miss of the Qin family. Miss Churu was more like a person from a high-class family. Qin Sheng naturally didn't care about the eyes of these unimportant people. She was very busy making money. Under such a busy situation every day, in just a few days, the money she earned from strengthening and maintaining the defense system, together with the money she earned from Black Emperor, had already reached more than 10 million. On the day that the demon stock went public, Qin Sheng went to the stock exchange and quietly waited for the opportunity to buy that stock. The shareholders were extremely regretful. They had spent a lot of effort to get the stock and wanted to make a big profit, but the listed company had a fatal accident. In order to reduce the losses, they had been waiting at the stock exchange early. However, they did not expect the stock to start falling like a precipice. No one wanted to buy it, so they could only sit and watch the stock fall step by step. Chapter 33. The Prodigal Qin Sheng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Compared to the anxiety of the shareholders, Qin Sheng appeared to be very relaxed. She looked at her phone and would occasionally raise her head to look at the stocks. Her long silhouette fell on her eyelashes. She lowered her eyebrows, giving people a feeling of peace and tranquility. The shareholders next to her happened to catch a glimpse of Qin Sheng's appearance, and the anxiety in their hearts faded a lot. Seeing that she was also looking at the same stock, they even despised themselves in their hearts. They were buying the same stock. How could a little girl not panic? Why couldn't they? Besides, it was useless to be anxious. After consoling themselves like this, she surprisingly did not panic and started to play with her phone like a young girl. Around noon, the stock had stopped falling. Qin Sheng sat up straight, clicked the mouse, and bought a large number of shares. To avoid suspicion, she created a virtual account and bought the shares in batches. Her movements were very slow, and the stock would not rise in a short time. Qin Sheng was operating the computer when a man beside her looked over. 2.5 million. Seeing that she had spent 2.5 million to buy nearly 1 million shares, the man's jaw almost fell off. He retracted his shocked jaw and kindly reminded her, "Little sister, this stock is not worth buying now. A few days ago, there was bad news about this company. It may go bankrupt in a few days. Your money will be wasted. Hey, little sister, you." Just as he finished speaking, he saw Qin Sheng spend 2.5 million to buy again. The man clutched his heart. Where did this prodigal daughter come from? This was 5 million. Hearing the man's words, a few more people gathered around. Seeing the stocks above Qin Sheng, they whispered to each other. This girl is too prodigal. Using her family's money to spend, she doesn't understand how hard it is for her family. She might be a young lady from a rich family. She doesn't care about this 5 million. That's true. Those who can afford 5 million yuan are not ordinary people. Many people in the exchange could afford to spend tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of yuan to buy stocks. However, very few people could afford to spend 5 million yuan to buy stocks at once. In this exchange, one could count it on one hand in a day. Wasn't Qin Sheng a spendthrift? She bought a lot of demon stocks of a company that was about to go bankrupt. Qin Sheng had already bought all 10 million into this stock. When she heard everyone's words, she leaned back on her chair, trying to hide her laziness. This stock will rise. Qin Sheng looked at the computer screen and spoke faintly. Little sister, aren't you afraid that your tongue will flash when you say this? You are rich and not afraid of losing, but we are all poor people and can't afford to lose. A woman waved her hand and did not believe Qin Sheng's words at all. This sentence was echoed by many people. They laughed and sat back in their seats. They did not have time to waste with these bored rich people. They were still waiting to sell the stock. Only a fool or someone with money and nowhere to spend would buy this stock. There was only one person. The man from earlier was still behind Qin Sheng. His eyes were sparkling and he looked at Qin Sheng with a somewhat perverted gaze. He rubbed his hands and asked in a low voice, "Little sister, how did you know that this stock would rise?" Qin Sheng was expressionless. Intuition. The man's excited mood was instantly drenched in cold water. It's just intuition, he muttered and sat back in his seat with a very downcast expression. Chapter 34. Cabbage Price. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qin Sheng glanced at the man. She had a good impression of him. She reminded him again, now it has fallen to more than 2 yuan per share. It's almost at the bottom. Since you've lost so much, why don't you give it a try? At this point, Qin Sheng stopped. Whether the man would listen to her or not, it was up to him. When he heard this, the man's eyes lit up. Qin Sheng had given him a shot in the arm. He began to buy shares. He had lost 300,000 shares. His heart trembled and he subconsciously wanted to delete it. When he thought of Qin Sheng's words, his hand stopped. It was only 750,000. At most, he could work for another 5 years to win it back. If he won the bet, he could buy a house, a car, and a wife. Gritting his teeth, the man pressed confirm and lost the transaction password. The interface of the successful transaction instantly appeared on the computer page. This stock could not be sold, but it was bought very quickly. The man stared at the words "successful transaction" and blinked. Suddenly, he leaned against the chair with his hand on his heart. His heart was beating really fast. This was the boldest decision he had ever made in his life. Qin Sheng did not stay in the stock exchange any longer. Seeing that the stock price was slowly recovering, she smiled, put on her backpack, and walked out of the exchange. The man saw the backpack behind Qin Sheng, and a hint of suspicion flashed across his eyes. Judging from her appearance, she was just a student. How could he believe the words of a student? And he even spent $70.5 to buy this stock again. Boom! Not long after Qin Sheng left, there was a commotion at the exchange. Everyone stared at the computer in disbelief. A Bigshot actually bought that stock for 100 million yuan. Was everyone crazy? Seeing that Bigshot still buying, they couldn't help but mutter in their hearts. Could this stock rise? Wasn't the bankruptcy of that listed company a certainty? However, they didn't hesitate and quickly sold the few stocks they had. Now was a great opportunity to sell the stocks. There were also people who smelled something was wrong and held on to their stocks tightly, not selling them. There were also people who bought a portion of the stocks again. There were already people who bought in bulk, and the stock price rose to 3 yuan per share. In a luxurious villa. Fu Hanchuan lowered his head to process the documents and signed his name on them. President. His special assistant walked in. Fu Hanchuan took some time to look at Assistant Lin while he was reading the documents. Is everything done? I've already bought more than 40 million shares as you instructed. Assistant Lin wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, he voiced his doubts. President, isn't Tengfeng about to go bankrupt? Why do you still want to buy? As Fu Hanchuan's assistant, he naturally had a grasp of Tengfeng Group's situation. He was also very clear that their company was about to go bankrupt. The rumors from the outside world were true. Fu Hanchuan threw a contract in front of Assistant Lin. Cooperate with their company and provide them with technical funds. The prerequisite is that we must control 35% of their shares. 35% of the shares was enough for their company to become the largest shareholder of Tengfeng Group. As for the 100 million shares that Assistant Lin had bought, it was naturally for the sake of earning the difference in price. Special Assistant Lin nodded. I'll make the arrangements right away. After taking the contract, he looked at Fu Hanchuan and was secretly amazed. Their CEO was indeed a wily old fox. This round, he could earn a few billion. The number one investment expert in the financial world was not something an ordinary person could be. Chapter 35. 70. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the next 2 days, the stock of Tengfeng Group slowly recovered, but the increase was not big. Qin Sheng continued to buy while buying, and then bought more than 2 million shares. On the third day, Tengfeng Group held a press conference. At the press conference, a manager of HD Group appeared. The reporters had some vague guesses in their hearts, and the shutter of the camera was pressed more frequently. An important department of the HD Group was the investment department. The number of companies that were invested in could be counted on 2 hands a year. There were very few companies that the HD Group took a fancy to. As long as it invested in them, that company's development momentum would definitely be very good. It was a legend. It had sharp eyes and had never made an investment mistake. As long as it invested in it, it would make a huge profit. The chairman behind the scenes of HD Group was even more legendary. Many people guessed that he was an experienced middle-aged man. The fact that the chairman of Tengfeng Group had personally appeared at the press conference this time showed the importance he attached to HD Group. The two signed the contract and shook hands. Happy working together. The manager of HD Group announced to the reporters, our company will provide funds and technical talents to Tengfeng Group. We hope that Tingfen Group can have a good development in the future. Boom. Hearing this, the reporter completely blew up. This was the first time he heard that HD Group would help other companies with technical talents. What kind of charm did this Tingfen Group have to make HD Group set a precedent? Later, countless rumors about the relationship between the bosses of the two companies spread. Little did they know that Fu Hanchuan only took a fancy to the value of Tingfen Group's products. An important reason for Tingfen Group's failure was the lack of technology and talent. If they were given help in this area, they would develop rapidly. Fu Hanchuan was a businessman in the business world, not a philanthropist. He would not do anything that would make him suffer. From the beginning to the end of the press conference, the smile on the chairman of Tingfen Group had never disappeared. This was HD Group. How could he not be happy that he could invest in a company that was on the verge of bankruptcy? Although he had given them 35% of the shares, compared to HD Group, this 35% was naturally not as important. At the same time, Tingfen Group's shares rose sharply. They rose for 3 days in a row and increased by 18 times. It was now 45 yuan per share. Qin Sheng's capital also rose from more than 10 million to 200 million. She narrowed her eyes and looked at the capital in her account. She counted the zeros on it several times. After a long while, a smile appeared on her lips. In just over a week, she had earned close to 200 million from 300,000. She was already a little rich woman. Qin Sheng knew that this stock would not fall at the moment, but there was not much room for it to rise. She clicked on the mouse with her finger and sold all of it. With a huge sum of more than 180 million, Qin Sheng was very generous and transferred 50 million to Hong Yuan's account. The moment the funds arrived, Hong Yuan received the bank's information. He saw a series of zeros on it and thought that his eyes were playing tricks on him. He rubbed his eyes and they did not disappear. When Hong Yuan counted for the first time, there were 7 zeros. Hong Yuan counted again, and it was still 7. Another message was sent over. It was from Qin Sheng. If the company's funds are not enough, you can ask me for more. Hong Yuan. He originally thought that it was already considered good for a little girl like Qin Sheng to be able to take out 3 million. He didn't expect her to take out 50 million from the start. When his company was at its peak, its total assets were only 30 million. A man like him who had worked hard for many years couldn't even be compared to a little girl like her. Chapter 36. 200 million a week. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If Hong Yuan knew that Qin Sheng had earned nearly 200 million in just over a week, he would probably be even more devastated. His hands were practically trembling as he poked at his phone screen. After much difficulty, he typed out a few words. No need. It's enough. Qin Sheng sent another message. Okay, you have to pay 1.2 million in advance. You have to repay the money you owe and use the company's money to buy the car. This is the company's benefit for you. Seeing that the repayment period was almost up, Hong Yuan didn't have any friends to borrow money from. He was too embarrassed to ask Qin Sheng. The house and car had already been taken away by the bank. He had already made preparations. If it really didn't work out, he would sell the few pieces of jewelry his wife left behind. But he didn't expect Qin Sheng to have already considered everything. Hong Yuan's eyes reddened. He was touched. On the other side, Qin Sheng had earned a huge sum of money. The same went for the man who had bought stocks from Qin Sheng the last time. The capital of over 750,000 yuan had increased by 18 times. Now, it was more than 14 million yuan. Seeing that the stock price was rising slowly, he also sold the stocks. He felt more at ease when he held the money in his hands. In just 3 days, he had earned more than 10 million yuan. This was something that he did not dare to imagine. The man was extremely glad that he had gone crazy and bought this stock with the young girl. That girl was really a god. Of course, there were also many regretful stockholders. Let them have a cheap hand, let them have a cheap hand, and they had actually sold it. Now, they had suffered a huge loss and still had to watch the stock go up. If they had not sold it back then. Perhaps it was because Qin Sheng's appearance and temperament were unforgettable. Very quickly, a few stockholders thought of Qin Sheng. At that time, she said, "This stock will rise." They did not take her seriously. Instead, they thought she was a prodigal. They treated it as a joke and insisted on selling the stock in their hands. Didn't they send the money away? If they did it again, they would definitely buy it with the young girl. However, it was useless to regret it. After that, when those shareholders came to the stock exchange, they would subconsciously look around to see if there was that young girl. They were destined not to find Qin Sheng at the stock exchange. After that, Qin Sheng would buy and sell stocks on her personal computer. The matter of the capital had been settled, and the preparation of the company was handed over to Hong Yuan. Qin Sheng stopped taking orders online. The next thing to do was to recruit talents, but there was no rush. After the weekend, it was Monday, time for school. This time, when Qin Sheng came to the school, she could clearly feel the difference in the atmosphere. Many people deliberately avoided her when they passed by. Some students glanced at her from time to time when they were talking, and the person they were discussing was Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng frowned slightly, but she didn't take it to heart. When she came to the class, the noisy class instantly quieted down. When Qin Sheng looked at them, they hurriedly lowered their heads. Qin Sheng placed the bag on her back on the table. Huang Xiaoyan's original actions were the same as those of the other students in class 4. However, she could not hold back her emotions. From time to time, she would look at Qin Sheng, wanting to say something but stopping herself. Qin Sheng was reading a book. Huang Xiaoyan's gaze was too obvious. It was difficult not to notice it. She closed the book. "Tell me, what happened?" Qin Sheng asked. Huang Xiaoyan seemed to have opened her mouth and no longer had any scruples. Sheng, do you know what the school is saying? They're saying that you're a girl from the countryside, wearing branded clothes, and that you're being kept by an old man. There are also people saying that they saw you with their own eyes behaving intimately with an old man and even going into a hotel. Huang Xiaoyan was very angry. Sheng was obviously not this kind of person. Old man, bah. Chapter 37. Come to the office. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Huang Xiaoyan was worried that Qin Sheng would be affected, so she added, Sheng, I believe in you. With your looks, it's more than enough to find a young master from a wealthy family. Do you really need to find an old man? Huang Xiaoyan's cheeks puffed up as she spoke. Her face already had a layer of baby fat on it. This made her even cuter. Qin Sheng had the intention to tease her. She raised her eyebrows slightly and supported her chin with one hand. Are you saying that I'm being kept by a young master of a wealthy family? No. I'm saying that you're definitely not being kept. I'm just making an analogy. Huang Xiaoyan waved her hands repeatedly. She couldn't let Qin Sheng misunderstand her. Lin Feng knocked Huang Xiaoyan's head from behind and said disdainfully, Huang Xiaoyan, you're so stupid. Just now, Lin Feng still had some misgivings. He did not dare to touch Sister Sheng's bad luck. She could crush him with one hand. The last time his wrist was broken and then reattached, he still remembered it clearly now. Huang Xiaoyan opened her mouth, and he quickly came up to show his loyalty. He tried to impress Qin Sheng. Sister Sheng, I also believe it. I saw the two guys insulting you just now, so I went up and beat them up. Lin Feng was unreasonable, but he was not someone who would randomly beat people up. Wasn't it because the two people's words were too harsh that he could not take it? The class had not started yet, so the other students in Qin Sheng's noisy class were paying attention. In addition, the class was very quiet, so they could hear Huang Xiaoyan and the others' words very clearly. They all expressed their sincerity. Sister Sheng, we all believe in you. Sister Sheng, you're mighty and domineering. You definitely won't be kept by an old man. Sister Sheng. The people in class 4 simply did not believe that Qin Sheng would be kept. After spending a week with her, they had already become Qin Sheng's die-hard fans. Lin Feng glared at them fiercely. He had expressed his loyalty, so why were they blindly joining in the fun? The people in class 4 subconsciously shrank their heads when they were glared at by Lin Feng. Lin Feng proudly raised his chest. You're just arguing with me. However, not long after, many students surrounded Qin Sheng, asking about her well-being. Lin Feng stared at them, but no one paid attention to him. He pulled a student over and asked, calling him by his nickname. Noob, are you guys itching for a fight? His eyes and voice were filled with a sharp and clear threat. The student whose nickname was Noob was also honest. He told the truth, Brother Feng, isn't Sister Sheng better than you? Now that Sister Sheng is in trouble, we naturally have to go up and comfort her. Lin Feng grabbed a pen and wanted to break it. He was so angry. However, he realized that he did not have much strength and threw the pen on the table again. He glared at Noob angrily. Noob shrunk his head and quickly squeezed into the circle that surrounded Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng looked at the circle of students who were concerned about her, and she could not help but feel warmth in her heart. It was really good to have classmates and friends. In her previous life, Qin Sheng had entered class 1, but she had not met any students from class 4. Because of Qin Churu, her reputation in the school was very bad, and no one was willing to be friends with her, let alone for her to enjoy the feeling of being trusted and cared for by her classmates. It was only when the bell rang that everyone returned to their seats. The form teacher, Teacher Lin, entered the class. She glanced at Qin Sheng and said, "Come to my office for a while." After saying that, she walked out of the classroom. The gazes of the students from class 4 all landed on Qin Sheng. They were very worried. This was an existence that was even more powerful than the discipline teacher. Lin Feng looked at Qin Sheng's departing back and only gave her a sympathetic look. Sister Sheng, take care. I can't help you. There were very few teachers that Lin Feng was afraid of. Teacher Lin was the only one. As soon as he saw Teacher Lin, he was terrified. Teacher Lin entered the office, closed the door, and poured a glass of water for Qin Sheng. Sit. Right now, Teacher Lin was the only teacher in the office. The teacher in charge of the other 3 classes had gone to inspect the class. Qin Sheng sat on the chair. Her body was very straight, very well behaved. Chapter 38. Not urgent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Teacher Lin smiled helplessly. If she did not know that she had hit Lin Feng when she just arrived in class 4, she would have thought that Qin Sheng was a good student. Have you been adapting to school recently? Teacher Lin asked about Qin Sheng's life. Yes. Qin Sheng nodded. Teacher Lin hesitated for a moment before asking, what do you think about what happened today? Teacher Lin believed in Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng was arrogant and had a bottom line. She would definitely not be kept by others. She also knew the inside story. It would not be too bad for her to be placed in class 1 by her family. She was only worried that this incident would affect Qin Sheng. The violence of public opinion was enough to destroy a person. Those who could not bear it would easily commit suicide or suffer from depression. As a form teacher, she had the obligation to not let anything happen to the students in her class. Qin Sheng merely smiled and said indifferently, I'm just bored. Their opinions have no effect on me. Teacher Lin heaved a sigh of relief. She smiled. It seemed that she was not wrong. Qin Sheng was very outstanding. Then how do you want to solve it? Let nature take its course. She could already guess who had spread these words. Other than Chin Churu, who else could it be? Chin Churu was a top student and was highly regarded in Class 1. She was also used to acting and got along well with others in school. No one would believe that she was spreading rumors. People were born to gossip. Many people had the truth in front of them, but they still insisted on their own views. If they thought that you were kept as a mistress, then you had to be kept as a mistress. They would not admit their mistakes. After a long time, there was no meaning. They would naturally stop. Teacher Lin was choked by Qin Sheng's words. She rubbed the space between her eyebrows. She had a headache. If the person involved was not anxious, why would she be anxious? Although it was difficult to find evidence to prove Qin Sheng's innocence, Qin Sheng's attitude was too indifferent. She felt stifled. Teacher Lin did not want to see Qin Sheng anymore. She waved her hand and said, "You can go back." When Qin Sheng left the office, she met the form teacher of Class 1, Liang Hua, who was also the English teacher of Class 4. Liang Hua hated Qin Sheng to the extreme. As soon as she arrived at school, she heard the students talking about Qin Sheng being taken care of by an old man. She believed these rumors and subconsciously thought that Qin Sheng was this kind of person. The person who arranged Qin Sheng to be in Class 1 was probably that old man. Liang Hua did not know that Qin Sheng was a member of the Qin family. Qin Hai cared about his face and did not want others to know that Qin Sheng was his daughter. Hence, he warned the principal and the grade director not to tell others about the relationship between Qin Sheng and the Qin family. Liang Hua was a little disappointed when she saw that Qin Sheng was not affected by the negative rumors. However, she would not let go of the opportunity to mock Qin Sheng. She sneered and said, "You are indeed not a good student. You are a woman who studied in a romantic place at such a young age. Liang Hua, you are not worthy of the word teacher." Qin Sheng did not give teacher Liang any face and walked past her to leave. Liang Hua was so angry that her chest heaved up and down vigorously. She walked into the office and transferred her anger onto Teacher Lin. "Teacher Lin, you are very young. You don't know what students you can and cannot have. Let's see what kind of student your class will bring in. She is kept by a man and her moral character is corrupted. If this gets out, don't affect the top students of my Class 1. Liang Hua was leading Class 1, the best class in H City High School. She felt that her status was higher than the other 3 head teachers. She was also bossy to the 3 class teachers. The other 2 class teachers would also suck up to her. Only this Teacher Lin did not take her seriously. Liang Hua would mock Teacher Lin from time to time. She even wanted to kick Teacher Lin out of the school. Unfortunately, Teacher Lin had a big background. The head of the Academic Affairs Office rejected her request. Chapter 39. Qin Sheng, 150 points. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing this, Teacher Lin raised her head from the grading paper. She adjusted her glasses. "Teacher Liang, you don't have to worry about the students in my class. In addition, it's best for Teacher Liang to learn what it means to be a good teacher. Without actual evidence, a teacher who believes in rumors is not a good teacher." It was very similar to Qin Sheng's words. Liang Hua was almost choked to death. She laughed mockingly, "You should tell that to the director. See if he thinks Qin Sheng is innocent." As soon as she said that, Teacher Lin received a call from the grade director. "Okay, I'll be there right away." Teacher Lin frowned slightly and nodded. After putting down the phone, she received Liang Hua's mockery, "Isn't the director looking for you? You'd better think of an explanation." Teacher Lin tidied up the test papers on the table and went to the grade director's office. Liang Hua glanced at Teacher Lin's desk and saw the math paper at the top. Her eyes trembled violently. "Qin Sheng, 150 points. Qin Sheng did not have any evidence to prove her innocence, nor did she have any evidence to prove that she was kept by an old man. However, the rumors in the school were not stopping. Worried that the school's image would be affected, the principal ordered the entire school not to discuss this matter. At the same time, he called Qin Hai and told him about this matter. Qin Hai felt that he had lost all his face. Over the phone, he repeatedly promised, "Don't worry, Qin Sheng has done something wrong. I will definitely teach her a good lesson." Without understanding the whole story, he immediately believed that Qin Sheng was at fault. The principal put down his phone and frowned. Qin Hai's reaction was too abnormal and unlike normal parents. Normal parents would defend their daughter at the first opportunity. However, Qin Hai had already told him that without actual evidence he still believed that it was Qin Sheng's fault. The principal was a little confused. Qin Hai loved Qin Churu too much, but he didn't seem to care about Qin Sheng. The principal also thought that Qin Sheng was innocent. As a member of the Qin family, was there a need to be kept as a mistress? An outsider like him could trust Qin Sheng, but Qin Hai didn't trust his own daughter. The Qin family could only be considered average in the prosperous H city, but they were also rich. The Qin family's wealth could let the Qin family enjoy a good life for several lifetimes. The fact that the Qin family was able to donate a gymnasium to the school for Qin Sheng showed that the Qin family was not short of money. The principal shook his head and quickly figured out the reason. It seemed that Qin Sheng was a pitiful person who was not liked in the Qin family. The rumor of Qin Sheng being kept by an old man would be spread among the students in private. Because they were afraid of being punished, they did not spread it out of the school. She didn't see the school punish Qin Sheng for the whole morning. Liang Hua also didn't have the mood to attend class, so she made mistakes frequently. After class, she called the dean of the academic affairs office to ask about it. The result was that the principal thought that rumors without actual evidence couldn't be taken seriously. Liang Hua was furious. Someone had seen it with their own eyes. How could it be fake? What was so good about Qin Sheng that everyone was defending her? Liang Hua was furious, but Qin Sheng wasn't affected. After a week of studying, she had slowly gotten used to it. In class, she would listen attentively. Only in Liang Laosher's English class, she would sleep on the table every single time. Qin Sheng was disrespectful to Liang Hua, and Liang Hua was furious. However, she gradually ignored it. Qin Sheng didn't listen to the class, and her results weren't good. She was happy to see such an outcome. Other than Liang Hua, the teachers of the other subjects had a good impression of Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng almost got full marks in every small test. She had a good attitude, good grades, and was obedient. The teachers liked this kind of students the most. Chapter 40. Voting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the blink of an eye, a morning had passed. Qin Sheng was staying at the school at noon, in the same dormitory as Huang Xiaoyan. The accommodations at the H City High School were very good. They were 2 people in one room. It was not big, but it was enough for 2 people. At noon, Huang Xiaoyan dragged Qin Sheng to lunch. In the cafeteria on the 2nd floor, Qin Sheng and Huang Xiaoyan were queuing up for lunch. Qin Churu walked over. There were a few female students around her. They were chatting and laughing. Zhao Jia saw Qin Sheng, she lowered her voice and said to Qin Churu, "Churu, that Qin Sheng is kept by an old man. At such a young age, she has already learned how to become a mistress. A few days ago, someone said that she was prettier than you. I think that Qin Sheng is not even worthy to carry your shoes." Qin Churu was good-looking, talented, and the daughter of a rich family. She was secretly rated as the school belle by those students. However, after Qin Sheng came to the school, many people compared Qin Sheng's and Qin Churu's looks. Without comparison, there was no harm. Qin Churu, who they thought was very good-looking, was nothing in front of Qin Sheng. She was very ordinary. Some people even called for a vote. Everyone was a fan of looks, and they were also anonymous. Many people voted for Qin Sheng to be the school belle. Qin Sheng's vote number was even higher than Qin Churu's. This morning, rumors spread that Qin Sheng was behind Qin Churu. Qin Churu was also very concerned about Qin Sheng. The moment she came in, she saw Qin Sheng standing in line. She also saw the gazes of the boys landing on Qin Sheng from time to time. Qin Churu was jealous of Qin Sheng in her heart. Even she had to admit that Qin Sheng was very beautiful. She was the kind of person who couldn't be forgotten at first glance, and she was very pleasing to the eye. When she heard Zhao Jia's words, she smiled gently. Don't say that. She is very beautiful. After a pause, she said, it's just a pity to be kept by an old man. When Qin Churu said this, she secretly clenched her fists. Since she was the one who said it, she naturally knew whether it was true or not. The old man was fake, but Qin Sheng had a very good relationship with that handsome man who had a temperament like the wind and the moon. It was so good that she was jealous. When she went back to check, she did not find him. Instead, she found the car he was in. It was worth hundreds of millions. It was a full-body brand, and his watch and car were all top-notch brands. Naturally, his family background was very good, and he was also handsome. This kind of man would make any woman fall in love with him. He was very much in line with Qin Churu's future husband's standards. Unfortunately, he had a good relationship with Qin Sheng, so he didn't hesitate to ridicule her for Qin Sheng. Qin Churu held back her anger. When she came to school, she secretly let the third-year high school students spread the news that Qin Sheng was not only from the countryside, but was also kept by an old man. There were fewer third-year high school students. In just a short 20 minutes, almost all the students who had come to school had heard the rumor. Churu, you're so kind. You're so beautiful and kind. Zhao Jia sighed. Let's go and line up. Qin Churu smiled. Huang Xiaoyan was talking, and Qin Sheng was listening. Before they knew it, it was time for them to order. Huang Xiaoyan stared at the dishes. Her eyes couldn't move. She stared straight at the plates of dishes. The food in H City High School was very good. The chefs hired were all 5-star chefs, and the dishes were rich. Huang Xiaoyan was a foodie. Every time she ordered 3 dishes, they were all meat. While Qin Sheng was preparing the dishes, Huang Xiaoyan stood at the back. Her eyes kept darting around the dishes, and soon, she was thinking about which dishes to order. When it was her turn, she pointed at them one by one. Auntie, this, and this.